Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Elisha Febrianti Siregar. I am from English Education Department of 5C at State Islamic University of Sultan Syarif Kasim Riau. In this video, I would like to share to you guys about naturalistic and ethnographic research. And this video was made to fulfill the task of research and development in ELT with Mr. Nuardi MED. Check it out. First one is elements of naturalistic inquiry. Lecomte and Preissel suggest that ethnographic research is a process involving methods of inquiry, an outcome, and a resultant record of the inquiry. The intention of the research is to create as vivid a reconstruction as possible of the culture or groups being studied. They also suggest that ethnographic approaches are concerned more with description rather than prediction, induction rather than deduction, generation rather than verification of theory, construction rather than enumeration, and subjectivities rather than objective knowledge. With regard to the latter, the authors distinguish between emic approaches, as in the term phonemic, where the concern is to catch the subjective meanings placed on situation by participants, and ethic approaches, as in term phonetic, where the intention is to identify and understand the objective or researcher's meaning and reconstruction of situation. The main kind of naturalistic inquiry are: the first one is case study, an investigation into a specific instance or phenomenon in its real-life context. The second one is comparative studies, where several cases are compared on the basis of key areas of interest. The next one is retrospective studies, which focus on biographies of participants or which ask participants to look back on events and issues. And the next one is snapshots, analysis of particular situation, events, or phenomena at a single point in time. And the next is longitudinal studies, which investigate issues or people over time. Ethnography, a portrayal and explanation of social groups and situations in their real-life context. Grounded theory, developing theories to explain phenomena, the theories emerging from the data rather than being prefigured or predetermined. Biography, individual or collective. Phenomenology, seeing things as they really are and establishing the meanings of things through illumination and explanation rather than through taxonomic approaches or abstractions, and developing theories through the dialogic relationship of researcher to research. The main methods for data collection in naturalistic inquiry are follows: participant observation, interviews and conversations, documents and field notes, accounts, notes, and memos. And the next is about planning naturalistic research. In many ways, the issues in naturalistic research are not exclusive. They apply to other forms of research, for example, identifying the problem and research purposes, deciding the focus of study, selecting the research design and instrumentation, addressing validity and reliability, ethical issues, approaching data analysis and interpretation. These are common to all research. More specifically, Walcott suggests that naturalistic researchers should address the stage of watching, asking and reviewing, or as he puts it, experiencing, inquiring, and examining. Should one have a hypothesis in qualitative research? The resolution of this apparent contradiction, the call to reject an initial hypothesis in qualitative research, yet a recognition that all researchers commences with some prior knowledge or theory that gives rise to the research, however embryonic, may lie in several fields. These include an openness to the data, a preparedness to modify one's initial preperception and position, a declaration of the extent to which the researcher's prior knowledge may be influencing the research, a recognition of the tentative nature of one's hypothesis, a willingness to use the research to generate a hypothesis, and as a more extreme position, an acknowledgement that having a hypothesis may be just as much a part of qualitative research as it is of quantitative research. And the next, features and stage of a qualitative study. An effective qualitative study has several features, and this can be addressed in evaluating qualitative research. The first, the study uses rigorous procedures and multiple methods for data collection. The study is framed within a assumption and nature of qualitative research. Inquiry is a major feature and can follow one or more different traditions. Example, biography, ethnography, phenomenology, case study, and grounded theory. And the next, the project commences with a single focus on an issue or problem rather than a hypothesis or the supposition of a causal relationship of variables. Relationship may emerge later, but that is open. The next is criteria for verification are set out and rigor is practiced in writing up the report. Verisimilitude is required such that readers can imagine being in the situation. Data are analyzed at different levels. They are multi-layered. And the last one is the writing engage. The reader is replete with unexpected insight while maintaining believability and accuracy. Stage 1. Locating a field of study. In some qualitative studies, the selection of the research field will be informed by the research purposes, the need for the research, what gave rise to the research, the problem to be addressed, and the research question and sub-question. Stage 2. Addressing ethical issues. A standard protection is often the guarantee of confidentiality, withholding participant real names and other identifying characteristics. A related factor here is the ownership of data and the result, the control of the released data, and what rights respondents have to veto the research result. Stage 3. Deciding the sampling. In several forms of research, sampling is fixed at the start of the study. 2. There may be attrition of the sample through mortality. Mortality is seen as problematic. Ethnographic research regards this as natural rather than exact. Stage 4. Finding a role and managing entry into the context. The issue here is complex, for the researcher will be both a member of the group and yet study that group, so it is a delicate matter to negotiate a role that will enable the investigator to be both participant and observer. Stage 5. Finding informants. Finding informants involves identifying those people who have the knowledge about the society or group being studied. According to Morse, a good informant, declares, is one who has the necessary knowledge, information, and experience of the issue being researched, is capable of reflecting on the knowledge and experience, has time to be involved in the project, is willing to be involved in the project, and indeed can provide access to other informants. An informant who fulfills all of these criteria is termed a primary informant. Stage 6. Developing and maintaining relations in the field. This involves addressing interpersonal and practical issues, for example, building participants' confidence in the researcher, developing rapport, trust, sensitivity, and distraction, handling people and issues with which the researcher disagrees, or find objectionable or repulsive. being attentive and empathizing, being discreet, and deciding how long to stay. Stage 7. Data collection in situ. The qualitative researcher is able to use a variety of techniques for gathering information. The researcher can use field notes, participant observation, journal notes, interviews, diaries, life histories, artifacts, documents, video recordings, or audio recording. Several of these are discussed elsewhere in this book. Stage 8. Data collection outside the field. In order to make comparisons and to suggest explanation for phenomena, researchers might find it useful to go beyond the confines of the groups in which they occur. Stage 9. Data analysis. Data analysis involves organizing, accounting for, and explaining the data. In short, making sense of the data in terms of participants' definition of the situation, noting patterns, themes, categories, and regularities. Typically, in qualitative research, data analysis commences during the data collection process. Stage 10. Leaving the field. The issue here is how to conclude the research, how to terminate the roles adopted, how and whether to bring to an end the relationship that helped build up over the course of the research, and how to disengage from the field in ways that brings as little disruption to the group or situation as possible. Stage 11. Writing the report. In research literature, there is a move away from the conduct of the research and towards the reporting of the research. It is often the case that the main vehicle for writing naturalistic research is the case study. Case studies are useful in that they can provide the thick description that are useful in ethnographic research and can catch the portray to the reader what it is like to be involved in situation. And the next about critical ethnography. What separates critical ethnography from other forms of ethnography is that in the former, questions of legitimacy, power, values in society, and domination and oppression are foregrounded. How does the critical ethnographer proceed? Karspeken and Apel identify 5 stages in critical ethnography as described. Stage 1. Compiling the primary record through the collection of monological data. Stage 2. Preliminary reconstructive analysis. Stage 3. Dialogical data collection. Stage 4. Discovering system relations. And the last one, Stage 5. Using system relations to explain findings. Maybe that's all my presentation about naturalistic and ethnographic research. Thank you for your time and sorry for all the mistakes. The last I say, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.